Well, I have 5:30, so we will get started. I want to welcome everyone to our annual meeting. I think the host just muted me. I'm Joyce Shevin, and I am president. This is the beginning of my second year, first term. And I'm very happy to welcome you all with us tonight on Zoom. Thank you for coming. We're going to start tonight with a short video about one of our clients, Janice, who many of you may have met in a previous video. But tonight we're going to see how Cjfs continues to support her in new ways.
I enjoy Amy going to the doctor with me, to be honest. I mean, I feel very confident and secure with her and everything. But now I'm at that point that I can't go by myself, but I'm going to get there. But I do love the support. She helps me out too, because some things that the doctor may say, some big word or something, she writes it down, but she explains to me, because we always talks about it, and she always asks good questions where I may not think about to ask. So I love that support. Yes, I'm still using the counseling. I'm still adjusting to some other issues with my health, adjusting to everything. Cynthia helps me with a lot of anxiety. I have anxiety, and I have it really bad. So Cynthia helps me and talks and give me some techniques and stuff like that. So I love her too. I love all the people that I have encountered with the program.
We've really been working since the spring to get Janice in to see her doctors with more frequency and on a better schedule, making sure we have a plan for that. And this spring, Janice was able to move into a new house that has a ramp for her wheelchair, which is a lot more accessible for her. Her last house had lots and lots of stairs, so that was just not a good situation. So it's been great to see her in her new living situation, which is, I think she's enjoyed.
She's firm with me. It's the nice firm, Then I like it because she's loving and kind, and we just have a good conversation, I feel like I could tell her anything. I love Amy, I do. I think she's the best thing that done happen in my life too.
My favorite thing about Janice, which is very hard to just pinpoint one, but Janice is a fiercely independent woman, and I respect that so very much. And my role with her with case management is really to keep her being as independent as she can be, and I really do think that is helping her. I hope it is.
Wow, I never tire of being inspired by the work we do. Thank you, Clay, for sharing that with us. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Sarah Newell. Sarah is the Senior Vice President of Community Impact for the United Way of Central Alabama. As most all of you know, the United Way is a generous supporter of Cjfs and our programs, and we are just so very grateful. So Sarah is going to share a few remarks.
Thank you, Joyce. And it is definitely a reciprocal relationship and definitely a partnership. There are so many things that United Way gains through partnership with Cjfs and has for many years. I appreciate the honor of being asked to speak at your annual meeting. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes. I was looking through some of the documentation of our relationship through the years as I was preparing for tonight's remarks, and I realized that Cjfs has been a United Way agency since its founding in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. which I'm no mathematician, but 32 years is a pretty lengthy relationship, I believe, and something that really should be celebrated. So I welcome the opportunity to come and just to celebrate that with you. I have sat through many what we call visiting allocation team presentations. I know I see Mari on there, who is named Joyce for some reason tonight. Mari has served as a chair for our visiting allocation teams for many years and a member of our committee. We thank you for your service, Mari. It's been a wonderful experience to be able to sit and learn about so many organizations across the community through that exercise, one of them being CJFS. And I think it's really through those presentations that I have gained a greater appreciation for the services that are delivered, whether it's through the many, basic needs kinds of services that are met that many people in the community don't know about, through the food pantry and through other kinds of basic needs, utilities, assistance kinds of programming through the years, or whether it's through the counseling that is delivered or the CARES program, and particularly for families with senior adults that need caring for. This organization is absolutely an essential part of the social services framework. And so it's a very natural thing that United Way, as an organization that values the health of a community overall, would invest in an organization like this one that makes such a meaningful difference in so many lives. Not only that, but you may be interested to know that CJFS and United Way have partnered throughout the years in a number of special types of relationships to meet immediate needs in times of disaster or emergency. This includes the services through the Long-Term Recovery Committee after the 2011 tornadoes and several disasters before and since then, where actually your social workers are an integral part of the process of meeting needs from people who have lost everything in a natural disaster. And if it weren't for that kind of strong long-term partnership that we have enjoyed through the years, we wouldn't be able to pull those kinds of partnerships together on a dime when they're needed in this community. So I think that speaks to the value of this relationship. It's certainly one that we believe in at United Way, and we are so glad to see you continue to grow and thrive. It's an honor to be with you tonight, and I have mixed emotions, I'll be honest. I don't know, I think Lauren knows this, but I'm not sure if anybody else knows. I actually announced that I am leaving United Way today because I have been blessed to become the president and CEO of the Exceptional Foundation in Homewood beginning next month. And so I am honored by that opportunity. Well, thank you. I'm honored by that opportunity and excited about it. And I hope that we can stay in partnership. And I hope you will think of me as someone you can count on as a supporter of yours in years to come. But I just thought, since some of you may have heard that news today, maybe I just go ahead and declare the elephant in the room and let you know how much I've enjoyed this partnership through the years and being able to support all of you. And I wish you the very best. And that concludes my remarks. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Wow, thank you, Sarah, and congratulations, or as we like to say, also mazel tov. Wow, that is such exciting news, and the Exceptional Foundation is so fortunate, and the United Way, I know, is going to miss you, but you're not leaving our helping community, and that's awesome. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. And we excuse you. Have a great evening. We know you have a little one to take care of. So
thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us. Wow. Okay, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Grace and Pam Leonard, our care staff, to do our Volunteer of the Year presentation.
First, I've got to say, as I always do, how many unbelievably wonderful volunteers I've worked with at CJFS. especially for the Senior Grocery Initiative, and most especially CARES. It's never been easy to choose just one to honor every year, and yet we have. What makes this year unique is we're honoring a man who was named CJFS Volunteer of the Year exactly a decade ago. I met David Reese in 2013, shortly after I had back surgery. David was recruited to drive me to deliver a fairly large number of baskets of blessings, not to mention do all of the loading and unloading. At the time, I thought it was a really nice thing to do, but I've since learned that David simply lacks the capacity to say no when asked to do something for CJFS. There's no job too large or too small for David, from stuffing envelopes to participating monthly for the Senior Grocery Initiative since its inception, I understand, to join us in Zooming with CARES participants during COVID, to serving on the board and its various committees, and last but far from least, to spending 2 days a week volunteering at CARES.
David stands out as a volunteer, not just because of how much time he's willing to dedicate to CARES, but his willingness to lead activities, to create his own version of The Price is Right, or to gather trivia to present to the group. He's genuinely pleased to work with any of our participants and is sure to add energy and humor to their day. He's thoughtful and observant. He pays attention to what is successful and to what we can improve upon. We often seek his opinion prior to making changes because we know he will be honest and can offer the unique perspective of the volunteers. He's also willing to come at the drop of a hat when we're low on volunteers or when you're trapped outside of CARES. You heard me right, I was trapped outside of CARES. A large alligator snapping turtle decided to park itself right outside the entrance. Every time I would come close to the door, it would snap at me. And the first person I called was David. Why? Because I knew he would come, first of all, and he would come with a solution to the problem. Within 10 minutes, he was there, shovel in hand, moved the turtle back to the field next door where it belonged. As Lacey shared, we have so many amazing volunteers at CARES who are worthy of this award, but I believe the CARES program would not be as successful without David's contributions.
Admittedly, it has been very hard to refrain from giving David a hard time tonight. He's just such an easy mark and it's so much fun, but for this one time only, he's earned my praise as well as my undying gratitude. You heard that, David, one time only. I'm privileged to introduce our 2021 Volunteer of the Year, David Reese.
Wow, that's some kind words. I hadn't seen my picture and my name there. I'd have thought you picked somebody else up. But Lacey told me that I had 45 minutes to talk, so don't worry, there'll be a small intermission halfway through it. But really, I tried to think of something I really wanted to say briefly, of course, and it came to my mind that every day when I look on my telephone, I have 5 words that I have at the top of it, and it says, I can make a difference. And underneath that, I also have a quote from Muhammad Ali that says, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. And I think those 2 things guide my volunteerism every day. I see a lot of people here on Zoom who volunteer, a lot of people on this Zoom who have received this award. I feel quite honored to be in that group. Those that aren't volunteering, I ask that you consider CJFS and volunteer. It's very rewarding. Just ask the people that help and they'll tell you so. In ending, I do have a quote that I would share with you, and it's do it for the cause, not the applause. But I got to tell you, this is awful sweet, and thank you very much.
Wow. Well, I just want to add my congratulations here to David. So well deserved. For never have I met a more committed, put me in coach. What can I do to help volunteer? And I have one more accomplishment of his that I would like to add. Several years ago, several years ago, I was involved in starting the Memory Garden at Cjfs. And if it had not been for David, that garden would have burned to a crisp because he came by on the off days of care and watered it. So in my book, you are a volunteer of the century, David Reese. So thank you for that. So as I begin my second year of my term as president of Cjfs, the strangest thought just keeps going through my head. And those of you who know me know I have no problem with sharing publicly the strange thoughts that swirl through my head. So as many of you also out there, I've become obsessed with watching Amy Schneider, the current champion on the game show Jeopardy. She's now surpassed $1 million in winnings, and her winning streak as of today is now at, sorry for those of you who DVR'd it, 36 consecutive games, and she is amazing. So here's my strange thought. If Cjfs was the category and the answer was Joyce Shevin, the question would be, who is the only president in Cjfs history to never preside over an in-person board meeting? Get it? I mean, really, this is crazy, and I had to share that. So we're here in 2022, again on Zoom, and dealing with the challenges of COVID. And I'm proud to say that our board, specifically through our COVID task force, has still been able to address these challenges, and we have been able to help our staff keep moving our mission forward. I applaud our staff for their resiliency, flexibility, and their great attitudes. And I say this all the time, but it is truly because I mean it. I feel it. I have never served on a more committed and engaged board. We joke internally that the easiest job on our board is serving on the nominating committee, because nominees always say yes when we ask for their board service. At Cjfs, board members are valued and their skills are utilized with just the right balance of respect for their professional and personal lives. This creates a wonderful environment of not only cohesiveness among our board members, but also an enrichment of the collaborative process between our board and the amazing professional staff at Cjfs. Last year, in my first year as president, I had the opportunity, along with Steve Green and Lauren, to meet individually with board members in person, outdoors, over coffee. Remember those fleeting months when we were fully vaccinated and Delta and Omicron were still letters in the Greek alphabet? Yeah. We met to chat about their board experience and where they saw their next steps as Cjfs leaders. I love these meetings, for each person expressed their commitment and appreciation for being able to serve on the board and further the valuable mission of our organization. When I met with Faye Levin, who, by the way, I'm extremely excited to install tonight as our president-elect. I got one more year. She asked me what kind of time commitment was needed for being president. I had never really given it any thought before then, which enabled me to answer Faye in total honesty. I told her that being president of Cjfs required more of my time than I had anticipated. But I also told her that it occurred to me at that very moment that not once have I ever resented giving of this time. In fact, the total opposite. Being in this role has been truly the most rewarding volunteer experience I have ever undertaken, and I consider it such an honor. I want to talk about two highlights from my first year, although there have been many. In 2021, with unanimous board approval, we implemented important changes to our personnel policy and to our employee benefits that reflected our commitment to equity and the physical and financial health and well-being of all of our employees. Each time our board showed such overwhelming support for these changes, I felt such emotion. I am so proud to be part of an organization and a board that not just talks the talk, but values all their employees and their well-being, regardless of the level of their position within the agency. As you know, we also began our collaboration with the Jewish Fertility Foundation with Julie Cohen as our part-time professional. I attended the kickoff program last November and was overcome by the attendance and the stories from women in our community who have struggled with infertility. Their stories are heart-wrenching, but at the same time filled with so much hope. Even more so now with the JFF in place in our community. No one needs to walk this journey alone anymore, and I am so grateful that Cjfs has embraced this need as part of our mission. My heart was just so full that evening, and we have already touched in such a short time several in our community with the support and services the Jewish Fertility Foundation offers. A special thank you to the Birmingham Jewish Foundation for their generous funding that enabled us to bring this program to our community. Cjfs is in a great place, financially, programmatically, and with a passionate and committed staff. Our hope is to expand our staff to be able to meet the growing needs we are facing as we continue to care for older adults in our community. I have no doubt that under the dynamic and accomplished leadership of Lauren Schwartz, our executive director, and with your financial support, we will continue to be successful in our mission. I look forward to year 2 of my term and helping Cjfs continue to evolve and meet the needs of our community. I do hope that next year we will be celebrating 2022 in person, and who knows, maybe Amy Schneider will be still running the board in jeopardy. Lauren, you're up. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you're not up.
Installation.
Yeah, what are we here for? I'm so sorry. We are going to install our board. I got excited that I was almost done. So let me continue. In my continued role as president, I have the honor and privilege this evening of installing the 2022 Board of Directors and Officers of Collat Jewish Family Services. But first, I want to recognize and thank our 2021 Board of Directors. You have served Collat Jewish Family Services through another challenging year as volunteers in programs and on committees, as fundraisers, and as policymakers. You have made difficult decisions about serving our community, putting the health and safety of our staff and clients as the top priority. Most significantly, you have led with integrity and heart. We thank you for your dedication and the many gifts you have bestowed upon Cjfs. Normally, what we would do is we'd ask you to rise, but via Zoom, we don't know, how many are appropriately dressed. No, I'm teasing. But via Zoom, we ask that you wave so that we can recognize and acknowledge you. Natalie Asman, Linda Barstein, Natalia Belets-Surkovskaya, Rebecca Boykins, Todd Dubrow, Andrew Duxbury, Steve Green, Lisa Kianoff, Kay Kornmeyer, Carrie Neal, David Oakson, David Reese, Barbara Royal, Steve Royal, and Debbie Wyattrack. Immediate past president, Michelle Bierman-Wolnick, VP of Administration, Jacob Shevin, VP of Programs and Services, Faye Levin, Vice President of Fund Development, David Romanoff, Secretary, Toby Siegel, and Treasurer, Lacey Epstein. Together, you have led this board and this agency with strength, with courage, and with vision. The decisions you have made and the actions you have facilitated will have a far-reaching impact, not only on the future of Collat Jewish Family Services, but also on the Jewish community and all of Birmingham. A simple thank you does not express the gratitude we owe you for the extraordinary service each of you has given to CJFS. With the power vested in me, I thank you and discharge you of your duties. At this point, I want to give a very special thank you to Steve Green and to Cjfs, who have now completed their board service to CJFS. Both of you have been invaluable to me in my first year. Jacob as head of personnel committee and Steve in his role as governance. They have been an integral part of fulfilling the mission of enhancing quality of life and sustaining independence by sharing their passion, time, and talents. I hope that both of you will maintain your involvement and commitment to CJFS. You both have invested a lot of yourself in this work, and I thank you for your many years of devotion and leadership. We are a stronger agency because of you, and I know that you both will not be going too far and will always be available for us when we seek your wise counsel and expertise. And you can signify that by saying aye. I'm kidding, you don't have to do that. Thanks, Steve, though. It is now time. Okay, so that was your brief respite. You've been off the board for 3 minutes. Now I'm putting y'all back on the board. So it's now time to present to you the 2022 Board of Directors and Officers of Collat Jewish Family Services. I first want to recognize those who are continuing in their term to serve as a CJFS board member. Please wave and unmute yourself at this time as I call your name. Natalie Assman. Okay, yeah, you have to, y'all unmute because you're going to have to accept. Okay, Linda Barstein, Natalia Belat-Surkovskaya, Rebecca Boykins, Todd Dubrow, Andrew Duxbury, Lisa Kianoff, Carrie Neal, David Oafson, David Reese, David Romanoff, Barbara Royal, and Debbie Wyatrack. And it's always exciting to welcome new board members. So I ask you to please join me in welcoming the following new board members to CJFS. Please wave and unmute yourself as I call your name. Steve Brickman, Jessica Rhodes, and Gary Weintraub. And finally, the officers who will join me in leading CJFS, its board of directors and our CJFS community for 2022 are immediate past president, Michelle Bierman-Wolnick, administrative vice president, Kay Kornmeyer, vice president of programs and services and president-elect, Faye Levin, vice president of fund development, Steve Royal, secretary, Toby Siegel, and treasurer, Lacey Epstein. Each of you has been asked to share in the responsibility of guiding and directing this agency. I will install you as a group because to accomplish your task, you will have to function as a team. In the presence of this membership meeting, will you accept the honor and the responsibility conferred upon you to serve this agency to the best of your ability and to uphold its sacred values with dignity and integrity? Please respond by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Great. With the power vested in me, I now install you as directors and officers of Collat Jewish Family Services. Give a little gavel. Thank you, and please mute yourself as we proceed.
Thank you, Joyce. I think I know almost everybody on here, but I'm Lauren Schwartz, and I'm the executive director of CJFS. This is my 10th annual meeting in this role, but it is the first time I've come to this meeting at a complete loss for what the future holds. Every time over the past year that I thought we were moving back to some new normal, even if it wasn't the way that it was, some other twist and turn in this pandemic has proved me wrong. And for those of you who know me well, I do not like being wrong. When anxiety and uncertainty creep into our everyday lives and we seem to have lost control, we have to look to the foundations of who we are to remain grounded and to be resilient. So while we've accomplished so much in 2021, like the reopening of CARES, a new transportation partnership with Episcopal Place, the delivery of 20,000 pounds of food to low-income seniors, and the launch of the Jewish Fertility Foundation Birmingham, just to name a few, I want to talk about how we move forward with strength and flexibility. Here's what I know about the future of CJFS. I know we have excellent leaders and volunteers. Our board is active and engaged, and they ensure that we are transparent, financially healthy, and fiscally responsible. With Joyce at the helm and Faye set to follow, we are poised to continue to have thoughtful, strategic leadership. And with volunteers like David, who say yes again and again, we'll be able to expand our impact and touch more lives. I know that we have dedicated donors and funders. Our fundraising was up 9% this year, and our program grants were up almost 5%. In 2022, at Hands Up Together, we're thrilled to be honoring the Bierman, Krell, and Wolnick families' decades-long commitment to CJFS. And I'm proud to announce tonight that we will have 2 presenting sponsors for the event, Total on First and Medical Properties Trust. Last but certainly not least, I know that we have a committed, caring, compassionate staff who spend every day ensuring our clients have emotional support, resources, connection, and quality of life. Our staff is what sets us apart. Our comprehensive, client-centered approach focuses on relationships built on compassion and respect. Each person, whether they're working with clients or keeping our office running or creating our messaging, is an interconnected, integral part of our team. Together, these critical stakeholders of the family of CJFS bring what our community needs most as we move into an uncertain future, a place to turn through life's challenges. When it hurts too much to bend and change the bed linens, or our reflexes have slowed too much for safe driving, we provide concrete assistance to enable people to age in place. When our desire to become a parent leads us to bear the incredible strain of fertility treatment on our bodies, our marriage, our emotions, CJFS provides support and understanding throughout the process. When dementia steals our memory, we provide a sense of community and purpose. When the pressure of social media leads to anxiety and depression for our children, CJFS provides a caring ear and guidance. When we become caregivers for those who cared for us, CJFS provides emotional support and resources to promote safety and independence. And when we want to give back, CJFS provides meaningful volunteer opportunities. All of you here tonight are part of our CJFS family. You keep us flexible, you keep us grounded, and you keep us resilient. In 2021, you enabled us to serve over 700 clients despite the pandemic. While I can't tell you what 2022 will bring, I do know that whatever challenges we face, you ensure that we all have a place to turn. Thank you. Now, I'd like to call on Lacey Grace, CARES Assistant Director, to introduce this evening's speaker. Lacey.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for having me on the verge of tears before I have to talk about Jim Benfield. So it's Lauren's fault if I tear up. As Lauren said, I'm Lacey Grace, Assistant Program Director for CJFS CARES. For those of you who don't know, CARES stands for Caring for Adults Through Respite, Enrichment, and Socialization. At CARES, we've created a community for those with memory and movement disorders, such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and stroke. We do trivia, art, and chair exercise. We play games from darts to bingo to Family Feud, and we often end our day with chair volleyball. It's not at all unusual for someone to burst into song. CARES is a happy place. From 10 to 2, Monday through Thursday, our complete focus is on our group with us at CARES. but providing respite and care for their caregivers is equally important to us. I have the honor of introducing one of them, Jim Benfield. Jim's wife, Pat, who has early onset Alzheimer's, has been coming to Cjfs for several years. She loves to tell the story of how she and Jim met in college, her lying on a pool table is involved, and often expresses to us how lucky she is to have Jim as a husband and caregiver, which I can attest to. As part of a recent CARES activity, Pat was asked what the best decision she ever made was. She said, without a second's hesitation, marrying Jim. I'm lucky to have Jim as a friend and an inspiration. If you knew him, it wouldn't surprise you to hear, I'm sorry, that when sharing in our weekly support group, Jim consistently includes the words, "I can't complain." Here's Jim.
Lacey, when you introduce someone, you're not supposed to make them cry, okay? You need to be a little more gentle with the person you're introducing because it's makes it difficult. But thank you for the introduction. You mean a lot to me too, Lacey. Thank you. First, before I get into what I want to say, I was just kind of surprised by this meeting. My gosh, you started out with a video that I think expressed the mission of your organization beautifully. The video, I think it was on Janice. And then when you honored David, and I'm so glad to be here to participate in that, you shared some wonderful pictures. Oh my. Some of those people I've gotten to know over the years. So first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to your annual meeting and asking me to speak tonight. I think the main reason I was asked to speak was that in hopes that I could express how much the dementia support programs at CARES means to me and my family. When the CARES staff originally asked me to do this presentation, I thought, well, that'll be easy because the program means so much to us. But that's not the case. Sometimes I think it's difficult for us to put into words our experience, especially when something is meaningful in our life. You just really have a hard time finding the words to do it justice, but I'll give it a try. Pat and I began this journey with dementia in 2012 when Pat was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 59. We're pretty sure that her mother had the same issue at about the same time in her life. And so we knew right off the bat, or right off the starting line, so we had some idea of what this diagnosis would mean in terms of our life. And then it didn't take long for me to realize even more how much it was changing our plans for the future. And I realized I needed some help in dealing with my grief as I saw my wife's cognition begin to decrease and our dreams begin to fade. So I decided to attend a caregiver support meeting. Now, I think it was at one of those meetings or possibly at a caregiver's workshop where I heard about CARES and its role in giving people with dementia activities to do. And I thought, well, that might help Pat maintain a quality of life. So we decided to give that a try. However, I have to be honest, I was a little bit concerned about how she would respond in a group where other people had diminished cognition, because at that time, Pat was doing relatively well, and it would have been hard for you to even know she had dementia when you met her at that time. So I didn't want to create any additional stress for her. But I remember being encouraged when I talked to Pam at CARES, and she said that at the first visit that I could spend the day with Pat to get a feel for what they do. And that first day was a real surprise for me. I remember the connection and the joy that the attendees were experiencing and how I was able to feel connected as well. Excuse me. The next day when I went in with Pat and told her that I wasn't staying for the day, I could see the shock on her face. It was almost like taking your child to school for the first time. And it was not easy leaving her, but I knew she'd be fine. And from that point on, CARES became an important part of her life, and she has truly come to love that community. More importantly, it has helped her to maintain a quality of life that would not have been possible without the CARES program. Now, you might ask, well, how do I know that? I know that because of when COVID hit and she was not able to go anymore. During that time, she was down in her spirit, and she constantly mentioned how much she missed the group. Also, I think her short-term memory even deteriorated as well. Now, some of this might have been just due to the disease going on longer, but I do think the group stimulation and not having that played a role. Now, during this time, CARES started Zoom meetings for the group, and I was so thankful for those meetings, but they were not the same. And then they started back in person, and Pat often expressed how she will never take those meetings for granted. And I saw a spark return to her that was missing during the closure. Unfortunately, as you all are aware, the COVID numbers have gone back up, and the meetings are now virtual again. However, the staff has learned a lot from their prior Zoom meetings. And based on what I've seen and what Pat has shared, they're getting much more out of these virtual meetings now. I think that's just an example of how much the staff and volunteers at CARES care and are always striving to do what is best for those in attendance. As I mentioned earlier, I had been attending a caregiver support group when I first found out about CARES. After Pat's got started at CARES, I learned of a support group that was meeting at the building in CARES, and I decided to go to that meeting that met once a week. Now, at that time, I was attending several different support groups in this journey, and they have all helped me in different ways. But then when COVID hit, one of my groups stopped meeting and the other two went virtual, one of which was the CARES group. And I started attending it on Mondays and really had a strong connection with that group, and it became my primary support group. The most important thing I think about that group for me was the knowledge and commitment of the staff at CARES that served as our facilitators. Some of those people who were facilitating have been on this journey as well. So when those of us in the group share what we might be experiencing, we have people as facilitators who not only hear what we're saying, but more importantly, they know what it feels like and what we're experiencing. They know what it feels like to be frustrated, to be grieving even as you are living with your loved one. And more importantly, they know how to offer us encouragement when we feel like we have failed in our role as a caregiver, which does happen. Most all of us in the group are in different phases of this journey or struggles in this journey. However, we are all able to share with one another as we cover a number of topics in our meetings, from communications with our loved ones, how to manage unusual behavior, the types of assistance that might be available to us that we weren't aware of, the importance of self-care, or any other topic that we feel like we need to get help with. I could say so much more about CARES and what it means to me and Pat, but probably the most important thing I can say is that it is a place where we are loved, supported, and we know we are not alone in this journey. The quality of our life is so much better as a result of your programs and services. In closing, I would like to share with you something I read from the book On Pluto by Greg O'Brien. Greg is writing about his experience in living with his own life of Alzheimer's. He wrote the following, and I quote, "My doctor has urged me on numerous occasions to stop assaulting Alzheimer's head on. He said with great insight, you can't win in a headbutt. That doesn't work. You just have to learn to dance with it," unquote. At CARES, the participants not only learn to dance with it, but more importantly, they experience joy and love for each other, even if it's just for 4 hours of their day. To me, that's a beautiful gift that and I both appreciate beyond what words can express. I want to express my thanks so much to the CJFS board and whomever was inspired to share this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for your honesty, your courage, and for sharing your story with us and your journey. It illustrates the importance of the services and support CJFS offers. And, it offers the families, the caregivers, those going through. And we're just so appreciative to you and for sharing. I was stealing, I've heard you speak before, and I was stealing myself, and it didn't help. Just so overcome with emotion. Also, Jim, you mentioned the virtual Zoom, and where this is relatively new technology. And I just wanted to mention, and a thank you to the Hirschthal Fund of the Birmingham Jewish Foundation, which enabled us to buy this technology. And I think, and Lauren and Lisa, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that we got it maybe right before COVID, but for COVID, and so we've been able to utilize it in such a way that has been beneficial to our clients and our caregivers. Anyway, thank you again, Jim. And I wish you all the best. So I also want to thank everybody for attending tonight, and excited to get to work again with our 2022 board. And I hope everybody stays healthy. I hope to see everyone in person very soon. So y'all have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, this meeting is officially adjourned. Sorry.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for coming.